Hi, I'm Heather from booktubes, and today is a tri-chapter sci-fi romance. I should be doing anything but filming a video, so I'm procrastinating by filming a video. I am currently 50% through Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, and this is a political arranged marriage between two guys. One was already in a political arranged marriage for his treaty, for his planet, and his husband just died, and so now he has to marry his dead husband's cousin, and his dead husband was not the best. And the new prince is the least favorite. He's not good with politics. He's not really considered an asset. And the two of them just don't have agency. They don't really know what all is going on. But emotionally, they are destroying me. I am 50% through this sci-fi romance, and they are not okay. And they are everything each other needs, but they don't realize it. And I need them to be okay, and they're not okay. So yesterday, I read nothing because I was like, the emotional devastation is really getting to me. But I'm so invested in them. Like, I want to see the part where they're happy. So I don't want to DNF it. I already read all of this. I already suffered through all of this emotional, just emotions. Yeah. My favorite thing. So anyways, I still pretty much only want to read sci-fi romance or maybe a paranormal romance, but I want to read sci-fi romance, and so today we're filming a tri-chapter. So, as you may know, I'm currently very much into sci-fi romance. It has to be romance, and I have to be able to get it from my library or Kindle Unlimited, but I am looking for recommendations. Specifically, if you have any by diverse authors, I want those. But we are going to do a first sentence rating as usual. We are just going to go by the order in which they are on my Kindle. I'm going to tell you why I picked up the book in the first place. I'm going to rate the first sentence, and then we will read the first chapters in order based on the first sentence rating. Does the first sentence matter? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything, right? But that's what we're doing anyways, and I think it's really fun, and I have a really good time doing it, so that is what we're doing. So the very first book that we're going to try, I actually just got this recommendation this morning because today my February reading wrap-up went up, and this person commented and said that I might like Draco, which is Fated Mates of the Sarkani #1 by Hattie Jacks, and this is a dragon shifter alien prison planet romance. So let us read the first sentence. The blank white wall in front of me is not the worst of my problems. We will give that a strong 4. Okay. Next we are going to try Splendor's Orbit, which is the McLean Chronicles #1 by Gina S. Bazar. I'm not 100% sure how I saw this on Goodreads, but I was looking at it on Goodreads. It's by a Palestinian author who lives in Brazil. And I saw a 1-star review for it that was like, this book was good, it was fine, but it was just Rules of Redemption. And I was like, add to TBR. Sign me up immediately. Yes, I want more of that. Sounds great. So I'm excited for this one. First sentence, I watched the two men strolling through the market from under my hood. We will give that a 3. Okay, we're trying to give a little bit of variety with the first sentence readings, and that's getting a 3. Okay, next we are going to go with Planet X by Evangeline Anderson. I do believe that this I just saw on a Goodreads list of great sci-fi romances because I have been stalking. I've been trying. First sentence, no, Krissa, come away at once. Technically that's 2 sentences, but that's gonna get a 2. See, variety. Next, we are going to try Calamity. And Calamity is #1 in the Uncharted Heart series by Constance Fay. And this was a recommendation from Gina at Archives with Gina. She has been more into sci-fi than I have been for quite a while, so she kind of has a backlist of recommendations and hits, and so I have been using them. The searchlight hits Finn's startled face at the same instant my chest hits the broad surface of the dune. I will give that a 2 as well. Also, just so you know, I don't really anticipate this being a lot of immediate DNS or taking it off the TBR because I want to read all the sci-fi romances. I'm not really looking to make my TBR shorter, which is often kind of the purpose of these videos. Instead, I'm literally just looking for prioritization. So honestly, any DNFs will be a little disappointing. I want to love all of these. Next, we will start Dark Horse, which is another one that's like really high on the sci-fi romance list on Goodreads. This is Class 5, number 1 by Michelle Diner? I'm not sure. Rose slipped her ticket out of hell over her head and tucked it beneath her shirt where it lay against her skin, throbbing like a heartbeat. And that gets 5 stars. Her ticket out of hell? Yes, please. Next, Fortune's Pawn. This, the hold from the library, came in today. Very excited about it. This is another one that Gina absolutely loves. You're quitting the Blackbirds? That's gonna get a 2. Okay, but this is another one that I've seen like a lot on the sci-fi romance list, and then Gina said like there's definitely a romance very present, so that made me feel good. I haven't started this yet until Gina recommended it because the cover does absolutely nothing for me, and I won't apologize for that. Next, we are going to go with The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. This, I want to say, was a recommendation from Angela at Literature Science Alliance. However, I don't really think there's much romance at all. I believe that this is a BIPOC author, and that's why it was recommended to me. But I have a little bit low expectations for this because 1, someone else told me I wouldn't like it, and 2, Angela specifically said, hey, it's not really a romance. Before, he always set aside 12 days of his annual retreat to finish reports and studies, and that left 12 more for everything else. And that is going to get a 2 from me. Again, none of the sentence rating is really all that important. It's okay. Then we are going to do The Demon's Possession, which is Shadow Quest number 1 by Kirsten Fay. This one, I don't know, I think was a Goodreads list as well. Analia crouched in the shadows of the docking bay, shaking with fear, anticipation, hidden behind a large pile of cargo. We'll give that a 3. You know what I'm saying? We'll give that a 3. Then we have The Viridian Priestess, which is The Viridian Priestess number 1 by Katrina Calandra. This is solely because of Gina, so she has really influenced this video. I'm sorry if I hate everything you recommended, which won't happen. It won't happen. Okay, we do have some significant overlap. Forgive me, First Mother, for I have grown wicked. I'll give that... I guess I'll give that a 3. On the intrigue level, it's a 4, but on the religious trauma level, it's a 2 to 1. Because I don't really love reading religious things. So I'm scared. And then, let's see, do we only have 1 left? Only 1 left. And this is Homebound, which is Rick's Universe number 1 by Lydia Hope. This is a little bit of a mix. This list is a little bit of a mix of alien sci-fi, but all the alien veers more towards sci-fi. So there's that. Dawn had not yet broken when Gemma came within sight of the prison. I'll give that a 4. I will. Okay, so what order are we going to do this in? Well, we have exactly 1 5-star first sentence, and it is Dark Horse by Michelle Deanna. I guarantee I'm not saying that name right. Let me tell you, phonics doesn't really help you with names all that much. Let me tell you that. What even was that? Dark Horse. All right, so I will be reading this first chapter and coming back to you. So Dark Horse, she is escaping a prison ship in the very first chapter, and she has an ally in an artificial intelligence that is kind of controlling her escape, and she doesn't really know that much about him. He's put her in this conflict because he took her into enemy territory. That's how she escaped. And we get her point of view, and we also get the point of view of the hero, who is the captain of the ship that kind of finds them in enemy territory. He's the enemy, right? But she, you know, was a prisoner. She's not really in charge of anything, but things aren't really adding up with her story, and so he is suspicious of her, but he does plan on trusting her. In this first chapter, it's just the escape from the ship. And also there is a lion that is killed, and she is very upset about that. So content warning for animal death. I would give this first chapter a 4. I am definitely planning on continuing reading it. So far, so good. Next, we have 2 4s for the first sentence reading. So we will start Homebound by Lydia Hope. All right, Homebound, our main character works in a prison on Earth, in a dystopian Earth. And there's this alien who is starving and kind of on death's door in the prison, and she has just been switched to the alien ward today, and she is taking care of him and nursing him back to health, and he has plans to escape. If he's healthy, he can escape, and he is being hunted by a scientist for his genetics. I would give this first chapter a 3. There was an ableist comment in this one. There was kind of a racist comment in the last one. Not like extreme, but just a little flag, you know? A little flag went up. I don't love when neither one of the main characters really has agency. I'm a little worried about that in this one. Our next is Draco by Hattie Jacks. All right, Draco was a much shorter first chapter. Our human was kidnapped by aliens and put in this maze. It's a prison maze. She's food for anyone that can catch her, but there's someone controlling the maze, and they are letting her escape in like a continuous running. And she had a ex turned stalker, and so there's that. Draco, we haven't met yet. He's chapter 2. He runs the prison maze, although I don't think he's the one controlling it. I think he's a prisoner as well, but like the top prisoner, and she's his fated mate. So I would give this a 4 on the intrigue scale. I will be continuing it. So far, I'm probably going to continue everything, but I will be continuing it. It's a 4. Let me tell you, it is freezing today. For the 3 stars, we have 3, and I'm going to start with Splendor's Orbit, because this is one that I do think I'll be prioritizing if the first chapter goes well at all. All right, so Splendor's Orbit does have a few similar tropes to Rules of Redemption. I would not call it one-to-one. The circumstances involving the tropes, at least in this introduction of the first chapter, are not the same. The similarities are that our main character used to be a star of the military and has been in hiding for about 10 years. She's going to be involved with this alien race against her will because she has been hired via one of her friends to transport a princess, and with the princess comes her bodyguards, and one of the bodyguards is who is going to be our love interest. Additionally, she does have an AI that shares some of her body, which is not the same as Rules of Redemption. That's just that there's 2 different AIs. But this first chapter is getting a 5 for me. I'm very into it. Love the writing, love the setup. It's exactly the type of thing that I like. So I, so far, completely disagree with that 1-star review, but I am so glad that it helped to prioritize this on my TBR. So that is very exciting. Having common tropes in a genre is not the same thing as being exactly the same as another story. Let's start The Viridian Priestess by Katrina Calandra. I'm not really that excited about this. I'm sorry, Gina. All right, The Viridian Priestess, I would give a 1. I will not do an F it without talking to Gina first, but the whole first chapter is all religious ceremony. It's about this priestess. Our main character is a priestess, and she hasn't been able to ascend, and she's like the oldest one who hasn't ascended, and no one knows why she hasn't ascended to being a high priestess. And I don't want to read about religion. I don't. Everything about the religious ceremony, everything about it, everything about, you know, the goddess listening to her mind and evangelical trauma, I don't want it, okay? However, she's about to go on a deadly mission and she's going to have to hide the fact that she's a priestess, I believe, so perhaps we won't have as much, but honestly, it's in her head and I know what that's like, so probably won't be reading this one. But the commander of the mission that she's on is masked. So, obviously, that's intriguing. Our final of the 3 ratings for the first sentence is The Demon's Possession by Kirsten Fay. Demon's Possession, I would give a solid 4. We have a young woman and she doesn't remember a time before captivity. She doesn't really know who she is or what she is or any of the things. And she's been in captivity for quite a while to this like terrible person, this terrible captain, right? And there's a merchant ship and the door to her cell isn't locked properly and she escapes. And she also like has these abilities. She assumes that they're part of her race, but she really doesn't know, where she can be one with the ship and all sorts of stuff, you know, kind of confused. But so she escapes on this merchant ship and she's going to have a romance with the captain. Yeah, solid 4. So that was the last of the 3-star first sentence ratings. So now we are on the 2 stars and we have 4 of these. So I'm going to start with Fortune's Pawn by Rachel Bach because this is the one that I'm most excited for of this grouping. I have had lunch and finished a fairly long chapter of Fortune's Pawn. The first chapter and the synopsis really give us the same thing, don't really give us any more information. So we open up, she is hooking up with her longtime friends with benefits, and she has an ambition to become part of the most elite force in her planet, and that serves the king, which also seems to be / god, confusion. But she wants to get there and she wants to get there quickly. She has a stellar career, but most times you need to have another 10 years of experience to get into this elite force, and she doesn't want to do that. So she decides to become a security guard for this ship that is always in dire straits, and because it is believed to be cursed, it just has all the drama and not very many people survive there around there, and it's considered to be worth 5 years of other experience. She just got the job, she got the tour, she met the cook who she's very attracted to, so I don't know if he is the love interest, and that's it. That's all we have going on. So I would give this probably a 3 or 4. Let's say 4, honestly. It is appealing writing and an appealing setup, but I don't really know where it's going past here, you know, besides the information we have in the first chapter. The synopsis doesn't give anything more than that, really, so curious there. Then let's go with Calamity, which is by Constance Fay, because this is my next most anticipated one. Also, Calamity is supposed to be a cross between Winter's Orbit and Alona Anders, so sign me up. Calamity, first chapter, they're running for their lives. She has a thing with the captain. Turns out he also has a thing with the intern. So she ends up buying the ship from them. They go off back home to the intern's home and she never has to see them again. But she doesn't really have enough money to cover the ship and it's about to be obsolete technology. And then there's going to be a new crew member who is actually the second son of one of the ruling families, and she's been banished from them and they are going to have a love affair. So I would give this a 4 as well. I'm intrigued. What do you want from me? Okay, I want to read these books. That was really just the setup of the captain betraying her was what happened in that chapter. So next we have Planet X by Evangeline Anderson. I haven't mentioned it for every single book, but so many of these have like one sentence that to me is a microaggression or problematic, like something that again sends like a red flag up in my mind, but it's like one sentence, so I don't really feel like I can mention that in every single book, you know. But we're on number 9, and there's been at least 4 of these books that in the first chapter there was a line that I would consider offensive. I feel like if something is racist or ableist in our society, it still is so when you apply it to alien species. So I don't really like when you're using the same language that I would not use to talk about another human being, and using it to talk about aliens. Like, there are just some things that I'm just not super comfy with, and that is it. That being said, again, one sentence is enough for me to label a book as problematic. Otherwise, you'd hear it in a lot more than I actually mentioned to you all. But Planet X, she is a aristocrat's bride-to-be, and he is a murderer and a prisoner, and they are on the same ship, and they meet in this first chapter, and he's bound and blindfolded, and she happens to see him and stuff. But they're going to end up crashing, and then she's going to have to trust him to get her through the jungle, and also she has to give him her virginity in order for him to help her. As one does. So I would give that a 3. However, based on the synopsis and everything, it's on the TBR. This is our last one, correct? And this is The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord, and this is the one that I don't think has much romance, and I don't have a lot of interest in it, but I have enough to give it this first chapter try. I read the prologue of The Best of All Possible Worlds. I'm giving this a 2, and I'm taking it off of my TBR. I'm not really that interested in it in the first place. I don't think that it is really what I'm looking for. In the prologue, he is on a retreat. He has like mind magic and stuff, you know, mind powers, and his entire planet is destroyed. And so his retreat is disturbed early with the news that their planet's gone, everyone that they know is gone. And then it's going to be a diplomatic thing between him, I believe, and a human woman, distant species relative, from the planet that they're currently on. But while there is a central romance, a slow burn romance, it's not a romance genre book, and it's not really quite exactly what I want, I don't think. So I can take it off the TBR. That leaves me I'm gonna get rid of The Best of All Possible Worlds. I'm probably going to get rid of the Viridian Priestess unless Gina can talk me into it. But she's probably not going to be able to, because religious stuff is like one of my number 1 avoidance in books. And then everything else I'm definitely going to keep reading. I am probably going to read Splendor's Orbit and possibly, I don't know what next. I want to read all of them. But like pretty much all of these perhaps are on my March TBR, because I know that all I want to do is read sci-fi romance. So I feel like you might get my thoughts on them sooner rather than later. But yeah, this is very successful. Honestly, I would put so many of these on my TBR, as evidenced by the fact that I did. But yeah, let me know if you have any recommendations for sci-fi romances for me, particularly if you have any by any sort of marginalized author, as you know, I don't really want my diversity stats to tank, but I also only want to read sci-fi romance, so I would love recommendations within the sci-fi romance space. Again, not really looking for alien romance, looking more so for humans or main characters who are already familiar with the society and the technology and all of that. Like, they live in space. That's what I'm looking for. So let me know any recommendations you might have, because I can't get enough. And yeah, I don't know that I'll read anything really today. One, I still need to clean. Like, I should accomplish something today. And then also tonight is the season finale of The Traitors US, and I am dying. I just want to know. So Traitors is the best show on TV right now. You should watch it. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.